Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Bank to the Future Live. You have to excuse me if I'm a little bit lower energy than normal. It's because I'm currently in Hong Kong, and it's about 11 o'clock, so it's towards the end of the day, and I had a couple of talks today for Hong Kong Blockchain Week. One on security tokens and the other on our secondary market. I got a few more to come. I think I got about 5 or 6 talks over the next week or so, and moving into token 2049. So with that little intro, let's make sure we got Famida here as usual to make sure that everything's running smoothly. And if you could let her know in the live chat that you can hear us okay and everything's coming through at the right volume and everything seems to be working. And if there are any issues, then Famida will interrupt me. And if not, I'm just going to continue right through. So as I said, I'm here in Hong Kong at the Hong Kong Blockchain Week. And today we're going to go through several things and we're going to try new formats. And please, throughout this broadcast, if you've got any questions that come up as we go through the topics today, then please do ask them. Just as a little recap of what we're doing with Bank to the Future Live, many of you might know that I often get asked and invited to give talks, and often I'll be talking about things like Bitcoin, banking, the economy, trends, investing in the industry, and some experiences and various other topics. But not all the time do I get to talk solely about what we're excited about at BnkToTheFuture.com for our investor community that we build up to, I think, approximately 68,000 investors now, all investing in the future of finance and technology. And so Bank to the Future Live is really that time that we're carving out to really communicate with our investors and the community that are interested at BnkToTheFuture.com, the platform, the BF wallet, our wallet that we've just launched for securities tokens, and the BF token, the rewards and membership token that is integrated into all that we do, and our cryptocurrency that we use in order to give perks to our community, as well as any other use cases that might come up for the Bank to the Future token. So in shortly, I'm going to go into a screen share. And the first thing we're going to do is, let me get this up. Hopefully you can now see my screen. And you should see an infinite screen of me in the matrix. But now I'm going to move over to our screen share. So Famida, can you see that okay from your side?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go through is, so we're going to announcing a new feature that we're very excited about, that we've been rolling out as our beta in the secondary market, 100% based upon our investors' feedback of what they want to see next. And so a couple of things really. So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time on Bank to the Future Live, excuse me, in the very first episode we gave a complete overview of the platform. In the second episode we went through some of the questions that you might have and various other topics. So we're really coming up with a format based upon your feedback. And so excuse me, please help us out by subscribing, liking, and commenting on this channel and participating in the live chat so that we can take this in the direction. Oh, that's the, okay, I was just playing myself on the live stream. So we can see you chatting here. For those of you that may not be familiar, if you don't want to miss any of the live broadcasts, then normally if I wasn't subscribed to this channel, there would be a subscribe button, and underneath this video there's a subscribe button. And next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell. And if you click on that bell, YouTube will send you an email notification every time we go live and every time we post a new video here. And it really helps the algorithms and for more of our community to find us. If you like this video, if you comment on this video, and if you share this video so that we can increase the size of our community as well. And so the first thing we want to go through is new deals. So for those of you not too familiar with the platform, I'm currently in an account logged in at the moment for the purpose of demonstrating this. And if you click on the Invest tab, you'll be taken to all of the new deals and some of the previous deals that are no longer open. At the top is the new deals, and we only really work with a couple of deals at a time in terms of new companies. And at the moment, we're working with StartEngine, which this week or maybe last week passed its minimum funding goal. And so therefore, everything that happens, the way that it works on Bank to the Future is the pitch has to reach at least its minimum funding goal, which is displayed here. And then once it reaches its minimum funding goal, it can either go through to its funding goal, and some pitches don't want to raise more. But often if it reaches past the minimum funding goal, it goes into overfunding. And overfunding means that the company is going to be selling more equity. It doesn't mean that the existing investors get diluted because they're selling more for the same amount of equity. It just means that they sell more and the company is going to be selling more equity in overfunding. And if they don't want to do that, for example, sometimes the deal is subscribed really quickly, like recently Securitize went into overfunding very quickly. But they didn't want to go much further into overfunding, so they had to close the pitch early. Let's see if Securitize is here. Anyway, yeah, there we go. They didn't want to go into too much overfunding, so they closed the pitch early, and pitches have the right to do that. So StartEngine is now past its minimum funding goal with about 9 days left. For those of you that don't know, StartEngine is an equity crowdfunding platform in the in the US, that specializes in doing regulation crowdfunding, regulation A+, and Reg D offerings, and is also looking at doing stuff in the securities token space, with a particular focus on US startups. At Bank to the Future, we tend to focus more on financial technology and crypto equity and security tokens. StartEngine is focused on US startups in all different shapes and sizes. Also, Trusti reached its funding goal today as well, or this week, its minimum funding goal. And so from here on in, anyone that, any qualifying investor that invests in those deals means that it's definitely going ahead. They're willing to go up to 2 million as a full funding goal, but they've reached their minimum funding goal now. And to stay up to date with all of the latest announcements from the new companies, I'll just show you what it looks like. For those of you that don't know the history, we originally used to have all of the investor communications on the pitches. And that proved problematic for us because when we had deals that have done multiple funding rounds, for example, companies like BitPayzer or Shapeshift or Coin Payments or some of the other companies where they've done more than one pitch at different stages, all of the communication used to stay on the pitch. And therefore, when they were updating investors, they had to go to multiple pitches. And that was problematic because some people might have invested in both and got 2 updates, or somebody found it too confusing because there was 2 pitches and then we gave them access to both, and it just wasn't a great user experience. So we shifted our model from having the communication on the pitch to having the communication on a company page. And so the user experience is not perfect at this stage. But we will be doing further integrations to make sure pitches are more integrated with company pages, and trading markets are more integrated with company pages as we gradually shift over to the new model of having all of the communication on the company page. And there's two types of communications. You've got a discussion which is open to any qualifying investor that is a member and has registered on the platform. And then you've got the investor zone, which is just open to people that have actually invested in this pitch. So this particular account has not invested in the pitch. So the investor zone is only open to investors. So I can't see the private investor communication. And the discussion is the one that's open to all members, just so you know. And I think we should change the wording to make that a bit clear, where we say public discussion versus investor discussion or something similar. We'll be happy to take your feedback on what you think would make that more clear. And so you can see some of their announcements, and anyone that's publicly decided to disclose that they've invested, you can see that in some of the company information. And so check out the discussions to see the latest there, or you can follow a pitch as well, and that will make sure that you get those notifications. So those are the two pitches. They've both reached their minimum funding goal, which means that anything that is invested from here will go through. The next thing I wanted to update you on is the secondary market, which we're still in beta at the moment. For those of you that don't know the history, the secondary market is our market for more established companies that have already achieved some kind of brand presence and recognition within our industry. And therefore, they, they're household brands within the fintech and crypto space. And our secondary market is where you can actually have an over-the-counter OTC order book where buyers and sellers can be matched up. It's not like a full liquid public national stock exchange or anything like that. It's more like an OTC bulletin board for secondary market where you can place buy and sell orders, and you can be matched up with other people. So we're at the moment in beta, we're open to all qualifying investors to buy and sell. And the first company that we're trading in beta is the Bitfinex SPV. Just as a recap, the way that we structure our deals is you're not actually trading shares in Bitfinex, the underlying company, because that would require them to be a publicly listed company and everything that goes through doing an IPO and being publicly traded. It is still a private company, but what we've done is every share, we've set up a special SPV. The SPV owns shares in Bitfinex, so the SPV is actually the direct investor on the cap table of the company. And then we're allowing people to buy and sell the shares in the SPV, and every share in the SPV is backed by one share in Bitfinex in this case. And so you can see here, this is the people that are advertising that they would like to purchase shares at different prices. And you can take one of those bids, or you can sell your shares. There's the sell orders. And we're excited because this was a new feature that our community was asking for in beta. And this is our first attempt at releasing some charts that show the volume and the price action of the Bitfinex SPV on our secondary market. And you can change the time frame, so you can see we haven't been live for that long, and so the time frames change. And you can see that was a really frequent request, and we're delighted to roll that out. That's hot off the press today. So please do let us know what you think and what you'd like to see next. And the other feature request was a full breakdown of every trade history that's happened on the OTC over-the-counter secondary market. And here's obviously some of the risk warnings and things that are very important to understand, that you're not getting information rights in the company. So there's it's a very high risk, high return type of investment because you don't get direct information rights, and other things you need to be aware of when buying an investment in a private company on our secondary market. So we're really happy to release that feature. Famida, I'm not sure if anyone on the live chat has actually asked any questions at this stage before I move on to the next topic. If not, I'll move straight on, but maybe there are some questions that have come up as we started.
Just having a look. Not really. It's not really secondary market related questions just yet.
Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to go through is we had some questions about the different ways and some confusion about how to actually make an investment on Bnk To The Future, and the different ways that you can. So if many of our investors are used to cryptocurrency and exchanges, and the way that it would work in a cryptocurrency exchange is you would have to actually have funds deposited onto the account before you can actually place a trade. Now, while that's exactly how our secondary market works, at the moment in beta, you can only buy shares on the Bitfinex SPV, firstly, if you're a verified, certified, qualified investor. And secondly, you would need to deposit. And in beta, we're just taking stablecoin deposits. So you can deposit some USDT. You can do that in the fund section of your account by simply going here in the secondary market. On the US dollar, you click deposit, and therefore it will you'll enter your details, and you can send some tether across in order to actually place a buy order on the secondary market here and join the over-the-counter order book. One of the things we're working on right now as a next feature is when you buy and sell, you know who you're purchasing from, but we wanted to make it more clear so that the buyer and the seller actually get put together more clearly, and they can see that. And the next thing we're working on after this, while we're still in the beta phase, is making the company page and the secondary market page more integrated, so that you can actually communicate, and have the discussion and investor zone a lot easier to find, rather than the current format, which is where you'd have to go to the company page, and when you're on the company page, you might get a little bit lost on how to get back to the trade page. And we just got some optimizations and improvement, but investors are discussing here, and then you have the discussion, and then you'd have to go back to the trade page, and it's not an optimum user experience. So we've still got some better optimizations to make that flow and really engage people in the secondary market as well. But on the primary market, and by primary market, it means companies that are issuing new shares, new deals, for example, StartEngine and Trusti. And many of the companies that will be on our secondary market are actually, they started as a startup on our primary market. Companies like, early stage companies like Kraken and various other ones that we'll be discussing, that have now progressed to the point where they might qualify for the secondary market. But in order to participate in the primary market deal, you don't need a prior deposit. It's all designed so that when you find a pitch that you like, you firstly can go through the publicly viewable information, which is different depending on your country of residence and depending on your local securities laws. Then you'll have different processes. And because this account has already been through the certification process, it can easily access the secondary market, the investor page. If you were new to the platform and you hadn't been through the self-certification, or depending on it will display certain things you need to do, a quiz you need to pass, the type of investors that qualify, and that's all based upon your local jurisdiction and where you're from. But once you've been through that process, you'll see the investor details. You can click invest, and at this stage, each pitch will accept different payment methods depending on their preferences and risk profile. And it's important to read the instructions because each pitch is slightly different. So let's say I wanted to purchase $1,000 worth of non-voting right B shares in the SPV that will own shares in StartEngine. Then this particular pitch is accepting many of the payment methods. Because I've got balance on my Bank to the Future account, I could use my BF wallet, which represents the funds that are in the fund section. Because it's below a certain amount, I could also pay by card. I could also pay into escrow via a bank wire, and it will pay the details. And in this case, StartEngine is happy to accept Bitcoin with currency risk. So what that means is that you will be paying with Bitcoin, and StartEngine will be keeping the Bitcoin as Bitcoin, and it won't be converted in this process. And the same here for Ethereum, where you can do the same, and they'll be accepting Ether and a range of altcoins. We can add more to this. It's been something we've been meaning to do for a while because the altcoin market space has just moved so much. And there's so many other altcoins, and we will look to integrate those into the future, but we can only do a few things at a time, and that's caught the back of the list with the launch of our secondary market. And the way that the altcoins work is that they're auto converted into Bitcoin, and because they're not willing to take all the currency risk of all these different cryptocurrencies. But you've got to be careful, because some companies might have it where the Bitcoin or the Ether gets auto converted so that they can guarantee the dollar value of the amount invested. Now, this doesn't affect you unless the pitch doesn't reach a minimum funding goal. So the way that the platform works is if the pitch doesn't reach the minimum funding goal, every pitch is entitled to one pitch extension. And if they decide not to extend, or after the first extension, then the funds are returned to investors. Now, we'll tell you which one it is, but if you invested with Bitcoin and it's a company like StartEngine that's willing to accept the currency risk, then if it didn't reach its goal and it expired, then you would receive the Bitcoin back to your account in the exact same amount. But if it's a pitch that it actually wants to lock in the dollar value, then we have an auto convert feature, and then you would receive the US dollars back. And you could withdraw those as either a bank wire or through a stable coin like Tether if you want to stay in crypto. So it's worth looking out for that. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes just be known that different pitches have different things. So those are the different ways of investing. Most companies, we try to encourage them to accept all payment methods, and those that are less risk, that don't want to take on currency risk, we have solutions whereby it can be auto converted. And so that's how those work. So that was one of the things that we wanted to go through. So just to recap, we've been through the primary market deals that are new on the platform this week that have now reached their minimum funding goal. We've been through the new features on the secondary market that include charting. And we also wanted to make an announcement that hopefully those of you that are premium members of BnkToTheFuture.com, next week we will be emailing you, because anyone that's a premium member will be the only ones that get access to secondary market deals before they go live on our secondary market. And what that means is that when a secondary market deal goes live on our platform, we'll be doing an initial distribution. And that initial distribution will only be available to premium members of BnkToTheFuture.com. Now, remember, our secondary market is only for established companies that have achieved a certain level of success. And so next week, we're looking to actually do the distribution for the second company that we're going to be listing on the secondary market. And the only way to find out about those is to be a premium member. For those of you that are not too familiar, a premium member means that you own the Bank to the Future token. And so just you can go onto CoinMarketCap and look up BFT is the ticker symbol for the Bank to the Future token. And you can see here the different markets that you can purchase on. Where do I click here? The markets. And yeah, you can see the different markets and where the different liquidity is. And that's where you can purchase the Bank to the Future token. And in order to be a premium member, because the token is, I think, is considered fairly cheap at the moment because of the market correction, you only need 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens. And you can do two things. You can either deposit them in the fund section of your account. So you can go here and you can see that this is a premium account because the deposit 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens. And once you've got 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens, you get priority access to deals and all other perks that are available to our premium members, including 50% discount trading fees when you either buy and sell on the secondary market and pay using BFT. There is another way that you can do this. You could actually go to the BF wallet here, and by downloading the BF wallet for iOS and Android, which is our wallet that currently is for Bank to the Future tokens and also security tokens. When we deliver security tokens from deals, they'll be delivered through the Bank to the Future wallet. You can download it on iOS and Android. And when you get the wallet, it will ask you to sign in to Bank to the Future. So if you connect your BF wallet with your BnkToTheFuture.com account, then it means you don't need to hold them, the tokens on the platform in custody. You could do them in self-custody where they're stored on your app in your control, but you can still get premium membership because the platform can read whether you hold the BFT token balance or not when it's connected with your BnkToTheFuture.com account. So that's two different ways in which you can do that, and we'll look to introduce much more simple ways of buying the Bank to the Future token in the future. But at the moment, unfortunately, it's kind of for those who know how to use cryptocurrency exchanges on there. So next week we're hoping to send the first priority deal to the initial distribution of our next company that we aim to list on the secondary market. So look out for that. And finally, before we start jumping into questions, the other thing we wanted to go through is some of the news from portfolio companies on Bank to the Future. So we define a portfolio company as a company that we've either listed on our primary market, listed on our secondary market, or they don't trade, or that we've invested in them, or we've given exposure to them maybe through one of our funds on Bank to the Future. So some of the things that caught my eye this week from our portfolio companies is this little one. And so Bank to the Future investors were able to get exposure to Kraken in a very, very early funding round. Kraken, we're delighted to say, is one of our unicorns. And just in case you don't know, a unicorn is considered a tech company that reaches $1 billion or above in valuation. And Kraken recently announced that they're going to be doing their latest funding round at a $4 billion valuation. So they're a quadruple unicorn, and Bank to the Future investors have enjoyed a very healthy return from the initial investment in Kraken. But they announced that they actually purchased I think it was, they didn't disclose the price, and I need to be careful what information I do reveal. But the publicly available information was that they purchased a company, a futures trading exchange, Crypto Facilities, which is regulated in the UK, and it's not open to US investors at this stage for regulatory reason. But the trading in the first has nearly done $1 billion in the first month. So that's really good to see. Kraken has been doing some great work in terms of supporting hack victims from Mt. Gox and now Quadriga. And so we're really happy to be an investor and delighted to see the success of futures trading on Kraken, thanks to their new acquisition and their new strategies. Another portfolio company that is Wirex. For those of you not familiar, Wirex did their seed round on BnkToTheFuture.com very early, way before any of the major crypto bull markets. And Wirex allow you to actually have a Bitcoin debit card where you can top up your card with Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's a multi-currency wallet. And they will issue you a debit card which you can spend at anywhere that accepts Visa and MasterCard. And they recently launched their services for business customers that want to open a bank account with them, where they can gain access to an IBAN and SWIFT number. They can deposit there, and they're supporting 10 new fiat currencies. And also multiple cryptocurrencies. So it's great to see Wirex making significant progress, and they've come such a far way since that early investment in the seed round on Bank to the Future. So congratulations to Wirex. Also, another one of our portfolio companies is BitSpark, which are based right here in Hong Kong, where I am right now. And BitSpark are really focused on the ground remittances using cryptocurrencies, cash in, cash out. That means that in Hong Kong, there's a very buoyant Indonesian and Filipino community that often have to earn money in Hong Kong. They often get paid in cash because Hong Kong is still a very cash-based economy. And then they like to support their families, so they might send half of their salary back home. And they need to go to different shops like Western Union, and there's a very buoyant, step into the shop, deliver cash, and then via the remittance networks, their family in the Philippines or Indonesia can cash out in their local currency. The BitSpark team have been really focused on this market. For those of you that you can check out the BitSpark discussion page, and we posted a video recently about the differences between solutions like XRP, Stellar, and some of the challenges that George was discussing in those solutions to remittances versus just simply using a stable coin, which can work in two different ways: a custodial backed stable coin where people can actually come to Hong Kong, they can lock up Hong Kong dollars in a vault. The stable coin is issued based upon that, and then they can use the stable coin in order to remit it over to the Philippines and save some costs. And they've been working on different solutions, and why Bitcoin was good for that versus XRP and various other things. So it's a fascinating. George is an expert in the remittance side of the cryptocurrency business. And they launched a Hong Kong dollar backed stable coin so that they can support this from the perspective of the interesting thing about stable coins is they are 100% utility, in that nobody's speculating on the price. There might be some people that are arbing between some deviations in the price, but pretty much 100% of the volume is non-speculative volume. It's actually full utility. Where people are using that for a certain user case to transmit money faster, cheaper, and better than if they were doing a bank wire. So congratulations to BitSpark for getting out the first Hong Kong dollar backed stablecoin, and they're looking to actually do this for 180 currencies eventually as they open up different corridors for BitSpark. And the final one is Circle. So Circle joins our Unicorn Club as well. They just announced that they're going to be doing a $250 million raise. And they are now, the last round was at approximately a $3 billion valuation. So they're now a triple unicorn. And we're delighted to see the progress that they've made in some of their acquisitions and what they're moving forward with. For those of you that are not familiar with Circle, They started out as a mobile app supporting Bitcoin and allowing you to easily convert your Bitcoin into fiat through the app, Circle Pay. They also have Circle Trade, which is reportedly doing public information about $20 billion of OTC trade. So a lot of the institutions that are getting in, they're not buying on exchanges, they're buying over the counter. And Circle Trade is doing a lot of that volume. They also launched the USDC stablecoin, which is a competitor to Tether. And they're now the second largest USDC is the second largest USD-backed stablecoin. And also they acquired Poloniex, which before Binance came around was pretty much all of the altcoin trading volume. But they're looking to reshape the Poloniex and company, which is still a top cryptocurrency exchange. But obviously Binance has kind of taken a lot of the spotlight as their success story came through. But we look forward to seeing what they do with Poloniex and various other things. So congratulations to Circle for joining the triple unicorn club and probably above with the latest funding round. We can't disclose the price of that because that's not publicly available information at this stage. But those are 4 of the stories for some of our portfolio companies. So that's about it that we wanted to cover until next week. And hopefully at this stage, Famida, you might have some questions for me. So what I'm going to do at this stage is stop sharing my screen so that you can now see me again. And we'll take some of those questions. So what have you got?
All right. So actually, I have a couple of questions from earlier. So I'll just go through those first. How are laws around crypto and securities progressing?
So I gave a talk on this at the Hong Kong Blockchain Week today, where I was on a panel discussing securities tokens. And the answer is, I don't think regulators want to change any of their laws at this stage. They have made, so for those of you that don't know, traditionally, securities laws decided that there are 2 types of companies. There's a public company and a private company. A public company means that their shares are traded on a stock exchange and they have certain reporting requirements. And the reporting requirements are so stringent that a very early stage company finds it hard to keep up with those. And the reason they have reporting requirements is because retail investors just means anyone that wants to purchase shares in those companies can do it on a stock market via a broker. And a publicly traded company is open to all retail. And so therefore regulators want to put investor protections to people that they consider not the type of people that can afford to lose the money. And what they decided to do is give less protections to wealthy people. The decision that the way securities laws has progressed is they've said that wealthy people, not necessarily that they are more sophisticated or smarter or better, but they need less protections because they self-certify, they certify, they opt out of these protections, and therefore they can invest in more exotic, more high risk, high return things. And so what was kind of a trend, and what we started when we started working in this industry when Bank to the Future started working with regulators way back in 2010, was to try and open up the definition of who could actually invest in private equity. Because private equity was only available to what they consider accredited, qualifying, and each country has a different definition. I'm just going to take a quick water break before I start coughing again. Excuse me. And so, yeah, so we started trying to open up that definition. And so there was big changes in securities laws where in the UK, they opened up the definition of who was actually able to invest. And then US copied this a little bit later with what they called the Jobs Act, which was a revision of the 1933 Securities and Exchange Act, which allowed for retail investors to invest in certain things under certain conditions, called the Jobs Act. And then everyone around the world started developing different revisions to their securities laws. And that just took an awful long time. Then came ICOs, where people started launching tokens and ignoring securities laws altogether and allowing anyone to invest regardless of any of the securities laws that existed, and kind of disrupted completely all the work that was happening prior to that. Now there was a revision back to enforcement around securities laws, and so therefore the term securities token offering came along. Now, most regulators take the opinion that their regulations do not need to change, that the securities token industry needs to fit in with the existing regulations. And at the moment, we're not seeing many of the changes. Now, one of the really important changes to allow the securities token industry to thrive is the fact that you could bake into a securities token the accreditation status, the verification status, and various other things into a security token where you can only transfer it if someone meets that criteria. The challenge with that is that at the moment, the broker or the securities business or the exchange or a company like Bnk To The Future has to do the certification, the verification, and they can rely upon somebody else doing it, but if it goes wrong, they have to take all liability. And this is why every time you sign up for a new platform like Bnk To The Future, or every time you sign up to an exchange, you have to go through the same process again, because we can't actually rely upon each other's certification, accreditation, and KYC. And if we do rely upon it, then we have to take all liability if they get it wrong. And this is one of the areas that I think is where there's a lot of friction that could make some real changes to support the growth of the securities token industry, because that would allow for people to take their securities tokens, rely upon other people that are partners in the accreditation process, bake that into the token. And therefore, you can create a market where it can come off that exchange and move over to another exchange, and we can open up more global finance and really fulfill some of the promise that the securities token industry is setting out to try and solve. But a long answer to a short question is that I don't see regulators wanting to change much. However, the smaller countries, like, for example, Thailand is releasing new regulations for securities tokens. Luxembourg is doing the same. Malta's doing the same. Gibraltar's doing the same. And so some of these smaller jurisdictions are looking at how they can build made to measure regulations. But the challenge is that you need to comply with global securities laws, which is why Bnk To The Future took so long to get launched, was because we had to take all of the different countries to develop custom processes for the different countries. And so unfortunately, one country's innovation does not mean global innovation, and it's still a very disjointed industry. If any of you are looking for a fully decentralized, where you can own your own shares as a bearer asset, then unfortunately I don't see that one happening, because the pitch that you're trying to give to governments and regulators is to not care about money laundering anymore, to not care about tax collection, and to not care about the investor protection laws that they've put together. Whether you believe that they fulfill those tasks or not, one thing I'm sure of is that governments and regulators do care about tax, investor protections, and money laundering as some of their primary agendas. So in order to move to a decentralized, fully bearer asset, like Bitcoin, which is why Bitcoin's such a revolutionary concept, is because it's figured out how to do that via being classified as sometimes a currency, sometimes a commodity, and not a security, and not having a founder and not being a central management and control that created that cryptocurrency. So long answer, but yeah, that's where I see it going next. Move on.
Okay, great. So I have a question from somebody that's in the live chat. The question is the only way to raise funds through your platform strictly being publicly posted, or can you offer a private raise?
Yeah, we can do a private raise. So we have, you'll notice that when a pitch goes live on Bnk To The Future, it's never 0% funded. That's because we launch it to, firstly, we try and introduce an institutional lead investor that does a lot of the due diligence. And then we offer it to our priority access members, and then it goes listed to our premium members, and then it goes listed on the platform. We have done it where a deal never gets listed. For example, we did the Telegram deal, and that was never listed on the platform because it was a private investment the whole way through. So yes, we offer that feature. You know, and then it then comes down to where the investors are actually going to find the pitch and the different tiers in which you can share that in order to do that. But yes, we have that feature, and we do have pitches that take advantage of that you might not have heard of or seen.
Okay, so I have a question here about the development of the exchange interface. So when do you plan on opening an exchange? Do you plan on opening this to US customers? And will you plan to trade cryptocurrencies as an addition to security tokens?
At this stage, we have no intention of getting involved in the cryptocurrency exchange market. We are very interested in the securities token market, and our approach for how we would like to do this is as follows. We're building everything in a centralized manner using our secondary market. And the reason that we're doing that is because we haven't seen the major efficiencies at this stage of tokenizing this equity. While everyone talks about the benefits of liquidity and all those things, we think we can achieve everything in the same centralized way, and still receive those benefits and make the user experience a lot better. However, we launched the BF wallet, and the goal of the BF wallet is to allow people to tokenize some of the security tokens that we would do on our platform and deliver them via the BF wallet. But also in the future, people might want to tokenize their SPV holdings or their equity. And as the market evolves and grows, there might be multiple exchanges listing these things, and that creates an arbitrage market. And exactly how the token market got so much liquidity was by having it on multiple exchanges where you could arb between, and that creates liquidity and various other things. We intend on using the BF wallet, and so we're currently working on two things. The first version of the BF wallet was using Ethereum, because we integrated with Securitize, who is a company that we invested in alongside Coinbase Ventures and Blockchain Capital and the platform, and that was open to investors. And that is a live platform where we can do securitization of security tokens live right now via a token. We're also in talks with the Blockstream team about their liquid securities product at the moment, and we're testing different services and how you can actually tokenize upon the Bitcoin blockchain as well is something that we're actually looking at. And the next stage would be, we're iterating based upon demand. So many of the securities token exchanges are launching with zero liquidity and just kind of hoping that the market evolves. Well, for those of you that were involved in the ICO market, you'll know that we started that around about 2013. And that was when, with the launch of Mastercoin, which was the first ICO, and building tokenization solutions on Bitcoin. And then we had Counterparty. And then later Vitalik left those projects and decided to start Ethereum. And then there was several years of development. And it wasn't until 2017 that liquidity started to pick up. So you can look at that as a 3 to 4 year cycle. We're forecasting the same with the securities token market. And so what can we do in the meantime? Rather than just launch an exchange that has zero liquidity, we are onboarding as many investors to a live product that is the BnkToTheFuture.com platform. We're iterating out into tokenization using the BF wallet. And then eventually we would look to actually, once we've got enough liquidity, once we're sure where the market's evolving and the market evolves in the right direction, then we see it as a natural progression to look at the securities token market. We would specialize. I don't think a securities token exchange can compete with a cryptocurrency exchange just because of the restrictions that are put onto investors. And so therefore, I don't really, I think we've invested in, we're investors in over 10 different exchanges within our portfolio. And we don't see the value in a cryptocurrency exchange. And I've just realized that whole time I thought I was sharing my screen and showing you stuff. And so I was probably looking all weird at you because I thought you were seeing my screen as well. But you're seeing me now. So let me turn back over to myself. Yeah, that would have been a lot clearer if I was sharing my screen. I've got to remember to do that. And so, yeah, we are very excited about launching a securities token exchange, but we want it to be great when we do it. And we've got a strategy and approach for how we think we can do that. And the market edge that we think we've got is that we have, already accumulated equity in pretty much all of the major companies in crypto where equity was available. And we can gradually tokenize that through the BF wallet. And then once the market becomes more buoyant and arbitrage opportunities open up, then I think that we've got a real shot in the securities token exchange market to actually get some liquidity, get some traction, and push the ecosystem forward. So that's our approach of how we're looking to go about that. And remember, the Bank to the Future token will be integrated into every step that we do for that. And initially, about 65% of our investors are actually using the BF token to pay for their trading fees, and that's creating a really good use case for the BF token at the moment. And we look forward to scaling the different services as well. And again, I think you're looking at my screen, but I got to stop thinking that, and I'll look at you again. So how are we doing for time, Famida? We want to stop at the hour.
I think we are on, bear with me 1 second, I think we are on 55 minutes.
Okay, so if we've got some more questions for the final 5 minutes.
Yep. So I have a question here which says, Simon, do you see Bank to the Future listing existing traded companies in the future, similar to DX Exchange?
I don't. I'll never say never, because one thing that, having been involved in the cryptocurrency market for so long now, things can change really fast. So anything I say might change in a few months. But I don't see the true value in taking something that's already publicly traded and putting it on a stock, a securities token exchange, and having to comply with all the exact same public securities laws and insider trading and all that type of stuff, and just doing it via a token. I don't quite see the benefit. Maybe I'm not seeing something that you're seeing. But public markets work well at the moment, and adding a token, I don't see what additional value that produces. I get the argument, there's, for example, apps like Abra are allowing you to purchase publicly traded companies like Tesla and Apple, and they allow you to purchase them with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And therefore, it allows people in countries that would not be able to access the stock markets to actually gain access and exposure via a contract for different type product, and via a pretty complex product, but they've hidden all the complexity in the background. And that opens up new liquidity that couldn't invest in stocks and shares. But I'm not sure a token is required to actually do that, because Abra has already proven that you can put together services. So to me, I don't see the true value in actually doing that. And so we're really focused on our niche of making illiquid private equity more liquid, and securities tokens. We were involved in the very first securities token in the world with the Bitfinex when they did the conversion pitch, and that opens up use cases for securities tokens that just don't exist in public markets. We're looking at doing new things, new innovation, and so at this stage we're not focused on opening up public markets to a market that's already open.
All right. So are you prepared to take one or two more questions? We are
okay.
An hour mark.
Okay, let's try and do those final two.
All right. So Simon, do you see the crypto market will continue to be manipulated for years to come, much like precious metals?
Absolutely. Every market is manipulated. Crypto does not change that, but long-term fundamentals prevail. So you're either a short-term speculator, in which case you need a market edge. Either you're brilliant at analyzing the technical situation and you're a professional trader, or you're an insider, and those 10% of people make money at the expense of the 90% that don't know what they're doing, or you got lucky. The only other choice for those 90% is to be an investor. And in investing, the long-term fundamentals prevail, and there's lots of manipulation in between. And I don't see crypto being the only market that is not manipulated, when every stock market is manipulated, every bond market is manipulated, every commodity is manipulated. But these are just market orders. And I don't see that changing just because it's crypto. And the crypto market has always been short-term manipulated, but the long-term fundamentals prevail. And the opportunity here is that Bitcoin is coming what I call a speculative store of value, whereby people can speculate and manipulate on the way to Bitcoin becoming a store of value, and eventually a median of exchange as you start to reach more stable pricing. And then all the innovation and all the things that happen around that with the alternative markets, as we get tokens doing disruption in capital markets, and other products, and every single financial product will be disrupted, I believe, with this model in the future. But will there be manipulation? Absolutely. And the only way to be on the right side of that manipulation is to be a long-term investor investing in the fundamentals, or a short-term speculator that's going with that manipulation, or an insider.
All right, final question here. How do you compare your company to StartEngine? What are the main differences, and why did they choose to raise money through Bnk To The Future?
So StartEngine is an equity crowdfunding platform, which means that they are they're on the goal of allowing retail investors to invest in US companies. BnkToTheFuture.com is a platform, a global platform for qualifying investors that is integrated with international and global securities laws, that focuses on a particular niche of those that want to build financial technology, that want to invest and build a portfolio in fintech companies and crypto companies. And we've got a very unique speciality because we've been involved in that industry and we're very close to the industry, and therefore we focus on that niche. StartEngine decided that they are a platform that wants to allow people to invest in US businesses, and that is on the ground businesses, companies that are doing stuff in the US. And that's not the type of deal that we list on Bank to the Future. We're very focused on a particular goal, which is the disruption of a multi-trillion-dollar industry in using technology to disrupt the traditional finance industry. We think that crypto is one of the best shots at that, which is why we're so focused on crypto. And this is for people that want to build a portfolio and benefit from the disruption of what we consider to be the disruption of a multi-trillion-dollar industry that you may not know which companies will succeed, but we allow you to diversify really widely. And equity crowdfunding is one of those areas that we consider financial technology that will be disruptive into the future of how businesses raise finance. And so we're happy to support StartEngine in their goals of allowing retail investors in the US to invest in US companies. And we are tackling very different segments. And often, we see this as a collaborative effort. I worked in investment banking. In investment banking, you would have a lead investment bank that would do an IPO for something like Facebook, and then all the other investment banks would also cooperate in raising the full, book value and the full book build. And I see that as an ecosystem that we're creating here. And so we don't really necessarily see it as competition. We think that more funding that goes in this industry in different ways, the better. And we're focused on a different vertical and different niche and different technology. So I hope that answers your question. Was that the last one, or did we have one more?
We have a couple more, but it's up to you if you want to answer one more.
Okay, so should we just do the last one so that we can close it out in the right way? And let's take that last question, and then we're going to wrap it up for this week. And remember to help us out by liking this channel, sharing this channel, adding your comments, and also subscribing so that when we go live next week, you get the notification. Click that bell so that YouTube will actually send you a notification. And we can increase the size of the community that's looking at this. So let's take the last question, and then we'll wrap it up till the next episode.
Sure. The last question is actually about your book, Simon. And it's just someone asking, when are you going to release the Spanish version?
Oh, God. So Bank to the Future is the book that I started in 2010. And it was published in 2011 in Mandarin and English. And it actually sold many more copies in the Mandarin version versus the English version. And I spent about 4 years in Hong Kong and China. And actually, what I'm wearing right here, you'll see this little dragon, is my dragon suit that I got when I was on a tour with the billionaire investor Jim Rogers. We toured 18 different cities in China, discussing our thoughts on the future of the US economy, the Chinese economy, cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin. And the book in Mandarin has been far and away, sold more copies, which is why when I go to China, we get a really, really big audience. But the book was written in 2011. It was, as far as I know, the very first published book in the world that covered Bitcoin. I do think that it's still, a lot of the content is still 100% relevant, but a lot of my thoughts have actually changed since then, because you can imagine all the changes happen in our industry. I do still think it's a book that I'm proud of, but you still have those things that you look back and cringe thinking, did I really think that? So I'm really excited about publishing the next book. Our publisher, we've got a different publisher for Mandarin, different publisher for English. And so I'm not sure if publishing a 2010-2011 book in a different language is a thing that we should do at this stage. Maybe somebody that might want to take on that. We'd be more than happy and open to doing that. But I haven't been able to focus much more energy because BnkToTheFuture.com has taken so much more of my time and energy. I do want to write a next book, but I just can't find the time at the moment. But in my lifetime, I definitely want to write the final book and the next book. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Bank to the Future, the book, was really the premise for creating BnkToTheFuture.com, because that book outlined, it was a fiction and non-fiction book where we go through all the different financial crisis events, and we do some time traveling, hence the name, where we hand a banking almanac to politicians and bankers of the past in order to fix the future. And we look at all the different financial technologies and different outcomes that came as a result of that. All the events were real, but the time traveling and things that we fixed were fictional. Yeah, the moral of the story is that we believe that every single financial product in the world was about to be disrupted by fintech companies and crypto and different technologies. And we wanted to be invested, diversified across all the different companies that were disrupting in this space. And so we really created BnkToTheFuture.com to allow ourselves and others to co-invest in what we believe is the disruption of a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And BnkToTheFuture.com was really a product that we created for ourselves to be able to diversify widely. Little did we know how much energy and focus and regulatory changes and all sorts of stuff would be involved. But we're excited about where we are right now than we've ever been. And we're really, believe that we're in one of the most exciting times in financial history. And one thing, if we look back at our platform, the investors that have built incredible wealth were building and investing during bear markets. And this bear markets produces a great opportunity to accumulate assets ready for the bull market, because it's pretty tricky to do it when everyone else is pushing up those prices and trying to onboard into this industry like we saw in 2017. That's really a little background about the business, how it relates to the book, and what's coming next. So thank you all for your time. This is episode 4 of Bank to the Future Live. As always, thank you for Mida for moderating, make sure that this is going smoothly. I think we're getting better at these. Please do let us know in the comments section what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. Would you like to see more of the deals that are listed live? Would you like to see more on the secondary markets? What would you like to see there? Would you like to see more stories on portfolio companies and some of the things that are happening, and maybe more case studies? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Bank to the Future Live. Thank you.